1994, 3 podcasters disappeared.
Three podcasters.
Let's see, they got 1, 2, 3. In October of 1994, 3 podcasters disappeared in the woods near Burkittsville, Maryland, while recording an episode. In February 2022, their recordings were found. Dun, dun, dun.
Nice.
What is up? What is
like
up?
it.
What is going on, folks? Welcome into another episode of America's Hometown Horror. A little fun there for you. My name is Mike. I am the host of the show, and we are on to a new month here, which means we have a new pun this month. We're away from Janthology, and we are on to hashtag Found Footage February, which I am jacked up for.
I like how
jacked up, baby.
February.
February. That's how it's
February.
spelled.
I
February. February.
What's the brew?
What's the brew in February? But anyway, I'm not alone here. I'm joined by my esteemed co-hosts, as you've heard already, Andrew and Kat. What is up, you two?
Hello.
What's up? I got one beef with Kat.
What?
Let's hear
I don't know
it.
if anyone saw it. If you look at our
Beefing.
social media, Kat made this cool little poster of us
Yes,
missing.
I was going to ask her about that, yes.
My one complaint is she picked, my picture, kind of scary. Mike's picture, not the greatest picture of Mike. Kat's looked like she took a special photo for this, where she did her
See-
makeup and tried to.
See, I'm going to disagree there because I picked the latest picture of you with your new hairstyle, which I
correct.
thought was very nice.
That I thought was fitting for the poster.
Yes, of course.
But I also think I looked like a weirdo.
I thought it was a decent picture of me, and I thought you looked like a Karen in your picture because you kind of look like you have got the
wow.
Karen hairstyle going on a little bit.
It's a ponytail, but okay.
You can't
But you
tell
did
that
take
in
a
the
specific picture for that, didn't you?
I had, yes.
Yeah, okay. See?
Yes.
Oh,
because
you did? You took a selfie for that? That wasn't an existing picture?
No.
See, I fucking knew it. I could tell right from looking at
Because
that.
Alright.
I was...
She did up her hair and
Yeah.
she's like, I took time doing that.
It was
Mike
just
thinks she looked like a Karen.
You had mentioned it, and I was like, well, I'll take a picture for it. Like a fresh picture.
So-
because I feel like all the other pictures I have, I'm either like drunk or smiling, like cheesing. So I just look, because that's why I was like, well, should I take a picture that's more like, because I feel like when Mike asked me to do this, I was like,
When I asked you to do what are we referring to? Because I feel like we should explain to the
okay,
audience.
this meaning the poster to look just like the one from, well, that's not from the movie. Is it from the movie?
It sure is.
Oh, okay.
It was released as a basically in the marketing campaign for the movie that these 3 actors, these 3 documentarian filmmakers were actually missing. So I had Kat remake the poster with the 3 of us. And
Why why she was asking me my height. I
it's
was like,
on
why do you need to know
Instagram
my
and
height?
Facebook with the exact same caption that I just read off to start off the this episode. Yeah.
So
and Kat, by the way, who does all of our Photoshop and graphic design stuff and does a fantastic job. Go ahead.
My first comment to Mike, because I said to him, I was like, you know what, it would save me some time if you sent me a picture of yourself and Andrew and me, so that I could just use them and I don't have to look through all these pictures because I was kind of busy. So he sends me 2 pictures of you, 1 picture of him, and no pictures of me. And I was like, okay,
You assume
well,
she has pictures of herself.
I figured that you had
Okay.
pictures of yourself, and I sent 2 pictures of Andrew because I wanted to send a picture of his new hairstyle / another one where he looked a little bit more serious, and a good picture of me.
The one with the mullet fits the 1994
Right.
role.
yes.
Yeah,
Better, though.
And you can finish, and then I'll comment on it. Go ahead.
My other comment to him was, well, the picture that he sent of himself, he's smiling. And I said, the picture from the movie, none of them are smiling. They look like mug shots, pretty much. And I was like, if you wanted them to be more authentic. And he goes, no, that's okay. I think that we can just use what we have. And I was like, okay.
Yeah, I mean, we're
All
not.
right,
I don't
that's
think.
fine.
I just think.
I think it
we're-
would've
we're
been
not-
better.
It's not a wanted poster with a mugshot, so
you
it's like if
wanted-
you were picking a random photo of someone to include.
I'm saying to
On a missing
accurately replicate that picture, we should have all been not smiling and posed for it.
I think that you did a good enough job replicating it that people will get the gist of it.
I don't think, the smiling.
So I
matters.
agree.
Yeah.
I agree with Andrew.
Yeah.
I think that we all should have been very serious.
Okay. All
But-
right.
Can I make a confession?
Sure.
I had no idea what you were showing me at first because I didn't know what that was from because I had never seen this movie before.
Ever?
Ever.
Oh, I had no idea.
I was like, I made a point not to
Kidding
ever
me?
see this movie because I, for some reason, didn't want to see it. I'm glad I watched it, though. Very glad.
Oh,
I am
had
absolutely
no
dumbfounded.
idea.
You've never seen the Blair
Never
Witch
seen
Project
the Bla- I've seen-
until what, today?
Today.
Holy
I had seen like
shit.
snippets from like here and there, but never actually watched
That is
the movie.
incredible.
So, fun fact about me and Mike, our hashtag for our wedding was the Blair Witch Project.
See, I get that. I'm not an idiot, but I still...
Yeah. See, spoiler alert, that Kat's maiden name is Blair.
Yeah.
So, and my last name begins with a W.
That explains a lot about her.
Sure does.
Oh, boy,
The Blair Witch.
Wow, I am amazed by that. I mean, I know
Blair
that you are.
bitch.
I know that you are a contrarian by nature, but how have you never seen the Blair Witch Project? Holy fuck, that is insane
Yeah,
to me.
it is weird.
Never cared to, or just never did?
Never had a desire to. I just thought it was kind of overblown and it was probably some stupid movie. And I was like, I don't care what anyone's, like a contrarian.
I can't say anything because I haven't seen a lot of movies, so I don't know.
It just
Wow.
eventually just snowballed to the point where it was like, yeah, I can go my whole life without ever seeing this.
All right, so I guess real quick, if
I'm
you
weird.
have figured out by now, again, we're doing found footage February, so you will get the next several episodes based on found footage films, just like we did with Janthology. Hope you guys enjoyed that. Maybe in March we'll stop doing pun-related things and
I
do
think we
something
should
else.
do like March Madness movies where they're all mad.
They've
gone
gone
mad.
We're also going to sprinkle in a review of the new Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie when that comes out, I believe, next week. But we have a couple other found footage movies coming your way. So I feel like that is it's such an astounding piece of information, Andrew. So I know we usually start off with our overall thoughts on a particular movie, and my God, you've seen this for the first time. What did you think?
I thought it was awesome. It's definitely my favorite found footage movie.
Yeah, duh.
It's now become number one on the list. It's just so genuine, and it feels like I know a lot of when it first came out, there was this thing people thought that it was an actual like a real
thing.
event that
yeah.
actually happened, and I can see why. They did a fantastic job. I mean, I feel like the '90s was much better suited to found footage had they taken more advantage of it because everything's grainy, it's poor quality. So it just lends itself. Where nowadays you see a found footage movie and anybody can be a director now or, film a movie and it looks top notch because your cameras on your phone are better than the cameras they had then.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, it's another thing that's a gimmick these days that people will shoot movies that are completely shot on an iPhone or something like that. So
yeah, so I feel this, and also just even the interviews with the people in the beginning of the movie and the dialogue, they did a really good job of you would never have guessed it had you know this. If you had just watched this footage, you would never have thought going into it that it was directed or written or anything like that. You just seemed so natural. So
Nope.
That's for me what made it, and the tension that just builds throughout the movie is really good.
Yeah.
I
genuine.
think this is a 5-star movie.
Oh,
I
easily.
think easily, it's easy to see why this is, while not the first found footage movie. I mean, Cannibal Holocaust and The Last Broadcast, which were also The Last Broadcast. I mean, we're going to cover this month. Cannibal Holocaust is disgusting, and I have no interest. I know it's a classic, but it doesn't do it for me. And whatever. You can see why this kind of launched this style of filmmaking into the stratosphere. It had the most genius marketing campaign behind it, which I'll talk a little bit more about. But oh my God, it's the way they executed.
Well, that's the other thing too. It's hard. It's so hard to get away with that nowadays because with social media and everything being out there.
you
Whereas
could
back
never.
then, it's not like you could just
never
Google
do it.
on your phone Blair Witch and be like, oh, that's full of shit. That's
Right.
nothing.
Yeah.
Like
Right.
back then, you just you gotta go to the library and the archives and Burkittsville. Is that even a real town?
It is. Burkittsville, Maryland is a real thing.
Is
think
this
so,
is there like a general Blair Witch? Like, is that a thing?
It is
Are they
not a real
completely
thing.
made up?
It
Okay.
is fake. They say that it is based possibly on the legend of the Bell Witch, which is another witch that is based in the Maryland area, which this takes place in.
Needless to say, she probably wasn't the belle of the ball.
But even just to go off what you said, so like they even, and I'll get more because it was the viral marketing campaign was so deep and again so ingenious. They actually put together, which I watched on YouTube, an hour-long documentary, like a fake documentary that aired on the Sci-Fi Channel in the summer of 1999 before this movie came out to reinforce the fact that this was a real thing. And they interviewed like people that, were in film school with the 3 actors, like their professors, like people around the town. So like they really hammered home the fact that this was like a real thing.
Well, when
and
you're
obviously
using
with the internet being in its infant stages, right? Like if you were to watch this thing that I watched, which is just called The Curse of the Blair Witch, you would never know that it wasn't
No.
real. You would
You might as
never
well be the curse of
ever
Loch
know.
Ness, you know?
Right? Absolutely. So, wow, I still can't believe it. But
Well,
I'm
also,
glad.
too, they
I'm
probably
glad
had it
you
in their
liked it
budget.
because I feel like if you said you hated this movie, I would have lost my fucking shit. I would have
Like
lost
they
my
probably
mind.
their budget was probably so low that they could do a documentary for the Sci-Fi Channel because that was probably
Yeah.
what was it? Their budget couldn't have been more than $10,000.
So,
yeah.
so this film was in the Guinness Book of World Records for the top budget to box office return ratio for a mainstream feature film for a number of years. Film cost $60,000 to make and made back $248 million.
I'm surprised it must have been all the money.
Which is a ratio of $1 spent for every $10,931 made.
That's insane. Absolutely
and so
insane.
whoever like the small amount of people that made this movie, they pretty much probably didn't have to do anything else for the rest of their lives.
yeah.
for this movie.
Yeah, well, I mean, some of them have. Mainly one of the directors of the movie, and actually some of the actors have been in other things that are of note. But before we get into that, I know this movie holds a special place in your heart as well, Kat. So what are your thoughts on the Blair Witch Project?
I remember seeing this. I don't remember if I saw this in theaters. I feel like I didn't, but I remember that people said that did see it in theaters that they were getting sick because of the amount of the camera shaking. That I don't remember if I
Felt that way for about 10 seconds when they're walking down a path and it's very shaky.
yeah.
But other than that, I didn't see that. I didn't notice that as much.
I feel like I remember people saying that when it first came out was like, oh my god, I felt sick watching that movie because of the amount that the camera shook. But
Yeah.
I love it because it's like Andrew said, it's like raw. It's like, it's as if it's just shot by whatever.
Well, it is.
It is, yes. But,
Very,
yeah.
very much so.
It's
Yep.
nostalgic for me because I saw it when I was so young. I loved the sequel, The Curse of S. Rever, which was, okay, so...
Wait, you're
Ready
talking
to
about
nerd out a little
Are you
bit?
talking about
Book
Blair,
of Shadows?
Blair Witch 2 Book of Shadows?
Yep.
Oh
yep,
my god,
yep,
ew.
Yeah. Oh, I had it on VHS, and then so with that one, if you watched it backwards, there were all these little secret things in it. It was kind of cool.
So you actually watched it backwards?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
that's
it was.
I just realized I just
Incredibly nerdy and something that I would do. There's a reason that we're married. Great job.
Did I just do
No, I just realized I just rewatched Schitt's Creek. You are Alexis.
Yeah,
from
you
Schitt's Creek.
definitely are Alexis.
Yeah, so I
Ew.
was a huge Blair Witch fan and
David,
follower of,
the pedals
yeah.
make it go faster, David. You get murdered first.
Yeah, so I always really like this movie. It's a classic. It's amazing. I mean, there's not much to say beyond that. So
Yeah.
I mean, I can't believe that you haven't seen it yet, but in the same sense, I haven't seen it.
That's
movies,
astounding
so I can't
to
knock
me.
you,
But
so.
I'm glad that you finally did see it. And I
See, I did just as good a marketing campaign as the Blair Witch Project because I didn't let you know that I had never seen
Right,
it.
That's true.
You did. You
Right?
did.
See,
Yeah,
I
you
should
didn't
get,
give it
like,
away.
some award
You didn't
or
give it away.
something.
I should get Andrew, or not Andrew. Sorry, Michael. What are your overall thoughts?
I mean, for my money, I think this is one of the scariest movies ever made. And so, Andrew, where did you watch this today? Were you at home or were you in the office?
I watched it in my underwear on my couch.
Attaboy. Okay. Did you make it dark?
I didn't.
Did you turn the sound off? Or turn the sound all the way up, excuse me, not off.
Not all the way up because I live in an apartment and I don't know. It was middle of the day, but people don't need to hear screaming and stuff
Okay.
like that.
Okay.
I feel like watching this in a movie theater or
Yep.
watching this at night in the dark would have been way scary.
absolutely
Yeah.
terrifying.
So I also have a nostalgic connection to this movie because this was the first R-rated movie that I ever saw in theaters. So thank you, Dad. Thanks.
Wild that
thanks,
this is
Big Mike.
rated R. Mm-hmm. No death,
Language.
no blood.
Yeah.
Language
Just
and
language.
terror.
Language.
And
Oh.
minimal
the language.
gore.
There are a lot of fucks in this movie.
Yeah.
Minimal gore when Heather finds that bundle of sticks with,
the
Josh's
blood.
Tooth.
tongue
Yeah.
and finger
Tongue.
and teeth and
Teeth,
hair
yeah.
in it. So yeah, thanks, Big Mike. Appreciate that. I remember it scaring my dad as well, but I was terrified. I was 12 years old at the time. I looked this up. So it came out in August of '99, which means my 13th birthday would have been in October of 1999, and I was 12 when I went to go see this. I also remember specifically that the next morning, after being terrified going to bed, my dad was fucking with me, and he woke me up, and he was like, hey, I gotta tell you something. When I went to bed last night, I locked the front door and shut it. I was sure of it. And I woke up this morning, and then the front door was open. And I freaked the fuck out.
Oh my God.
I lost it. But yeah, again, thanks, Dad. Thanks, Big
That's
Mike.
what dads are for.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly. But yeah, so this was the first R-rated horror movie that I saw in theaters. I went with my dad. And I mean, I said this to Kat the other night when we were rewatching it, but I'm not sure that there's ever been another horror movie that has done more with less than the Blair Witch Project.
Yeah.
Now, when you saw this, Mike, did you think that this was actual real footage?
I mean, I was 12, so yeah, I did.
Okay, so
absolutely.
that adds to the horror level.
Yeah.
Yep.
Like when you go in and you watch a movie and you know that it's fake.
Yeah.
Takes away from a little bit, but still
Yeah.
very scary.
And I mean, it's funny because, we all like this movie. There are a lot of people out there that don't like this movie and don't like this style of filmmaking, which, okay, that's fine. But I think it's very
You know who those people are? Those are the people that love Marvel movies.
No imagination.
Yeah.
It's probably the most famous style of this movie ever made, and it's safe to say that many of the other movies that we're going to talk about this month would not have happened without the Blair Witch Project,
Absolutely.
right?
Yeah.
And which one?
The last broadcast.
Yeah, I mean, actually, yeah, that's true. Last broadcast or
before this
Cannibal Holocaust. Cannibal Holocaust.
Oh yeah, but we're not talking about.
We're not talking about Cannibal Holocaust.
I
I love this movie. I still think it holds up to this day. It's terrifying. I never ever saw Blair Witch 2: Book of Shadows because I know that it got rid of the found footage technique.
It did.
But there is a superb sequel to this that is called Blair Witch that came out in 2016, which you and I saw in
Yes.
theaters, Kat, and that was fucking awesome and also fucking terrifying, and that is streaming on Hulu right now. So I would
I'll
say
probably watch that then.
Watch
that.
Needless to say, I haven't seen that.
Yep.
Because who would watch
Watch it on
this
the
second
plane.
one?
Yep. So
That's not really conducive
All right.
for watching a movie.
So, obviously, we mentioned this movie came out in 1999. Party like it's 1999, baby! Right before the millennium, right before the what did they call it?
Y2K?
Y2K, the crash of all the electronics that never happened. Kind of a weird year for horror. There was a lot of good stuff that at the time was not considered good stuff, but in retrospect has been appreciated a little bit more, and also some classics. Audition, which is the Takeshi Miike movie about. Have you ever seen Audition before? No, neither of you, Kat. I know you
The
haven't.
Audition.
No.
Yeah, it's you'd know it if you saw it. It's a movie that you need to see. It's basically about it's a Japanese horror movie.
Oh, I probably haven't seen that then.
Okay, well, watch Audition. I won't spoil it for you.
I've
Andrew,
read it.
we got Candyman: Day of the Dead in 1999.
Never seen that
Nope.
one.
Okay.
No thanks.
We also got the second R-rated movie that I ever saw in theaters, again with my dad in 1999, and that would be Deep Blue Sea.
Oh,
that movie's
Deep
awesome.
Blue
Blue Sea, I love that movie. It's got LL Cool J fighting sharks,
Oh,
along
I
with
love
Thomas
that movie.
Jane and Michael Rappaport.
Is that a
that
horror movie?
slob.
It's a big shark.
It's a big shark movie. That's a scary fucking movie. I mean,
Okay.
I was 13 at the time, and I saw it. 12,
Fair.
probably 12 actually, because that came out in the summer too. We also got End of Days featuring Arnold Schwarzenegger.
It's another gem.
From Dusk Till Dawn 2, Texas Blood Money. We got the remake of The Haunting, which featured Liam Neeson, Catherine Zeta-Jones,
I love-
and Luke Wilson.
So bad.
That's a bad
that
movie.
movie.
Bad movie.
I thought you said there were good movies.
Hold,
Owen
please.
Wilson's
Hold,
in
please.
that too, right?
A decent remake.
Yes.
Another remake. This
think
was
he's in
again
Luke Wilson.
90s and
Luke
early
Wilson.
2000s. Big time for remakes. We also got the remake of House on Haunted Hill, which had Jeffrey Rush, Taye Diggs. House on Haunted Hill. You guys didn't see this? That was
I don't know
actually
if I
decent.
saw it.
Decent.
I can't
movie.
remember which terrible movie I saw. Haunted Hell.
Andrew, you might remember this one. Going through puberty around this time. Idle Hands with Devon Sawa and a very, very young Jessica Alba.
Idle Hands.
And Seth Green.
Oh yeah, I saw that. That's like a dark comedy.
It's
black
like Devon Sawa plays he has no
Yeah.
control over his hand, and
just-
it's like
like-
controlled by the devil.
Yeah.
Yep, Devon
they chop
Sawa,
it off?
90s heartthrob, and Jessica Alba.
Doesn't he
They're
chop off
looking
his
very
hands?
good. I think he does. I don't remember.
I vaguely remember that movie.
Quite possibly, obviously not the best movie because the Blair Witch Project came out in this year, but maybe, in my opinion, the second best movie of this year, Lake Placid.
I love Lake.
Lake
I
Placid.
love
That's
Lake
on-
Placid.
That's a
That's
good
on
monster
my,
feature.
Great,
Yeah.
great movie.
That was on
Bill
my
Pullman,
They're
list.
still
Betty
making-
White.
I feel like they're still making Lake
They
Placid
probably
movies.
are. They
It's like,
probably
can
are.
you just stop?
Yeah.
It's like, Jaws did the same thing. Like, can you just stop?
Also got another terrible sequel, The Rage, Carrie 2. And then to end this out, we actually got three pretty decent, or two of three very decent movies. We got the Tim Burton Sleepy Hollow remake with Johnny Depp and Christina Ricci.
Good. Underrated
Good movie.
Yeah.
Christopher Walken as the Headless Horseman. For some reason, he has sharp teeth. Okay. We'll leave that alone.
It's creepy.
Also got a movie called Stigmata, which I'm sure you've heard of.
Oh, I've
may
seen
have
that movie, yeah.
And also underrated Kevin Bacon movie based on a Richard Matheson story called Stir of Echoes. Ever seen that?
No, I thought you were going to say Hollow Man.
It's good.
I thought you were
No.
too. I thought the
Hollow
same
Man's a
thing.
90s movie. Did not come out in 99.
I like
though. I actually
Hollow
really,
Man.
really like
Elizabeth
Hollow Man a
Shue?
lot.
Oh, baby.
Elizabeth Shue,
Elizabeth
Josh
Shue, you,
Brolin,
please.
Kevin Bacon. Oh, that's a good movie.
Let's
too.
watch some 90s movies
Yeah.
soon.
Yeah, so I guess if we're just
90s
going
November.
I want to talk a little bit more about how this movie was made, and basically, like, you know, what they did to kind of generate hype for this movie before we keep rolling with everything else. So this movie, obviously, you know, there's a lot of random people that are being interviewed, but it stars the main three actors named Heather Donahue, Joshua Leonard, and Michael Williams. They essentially play a fictional version of themselves in this movie, right? And it's directed by two guys, Daniel Myrick and Eduardo Sanchez. So Daniel Myrick hasn't really gone on to do too much, but Eduardo Sanchez, however, quite a bit. Quite a few things.
Eduardo Sanchez.
Eduardo Sanchez.
Carroccio.
Yes. So he directed a segment in VHS 2.
Ah.
Also done extensive work on television shows, mainly Supernatural, which, Kat, I know you're a fan of. He directed a bunch of
do like
episodes of
Supernatural.
that. He worked on a few episodes of From Dusk Till Dawn, the series, which I watched, was not great. Also did an episode of American Horror Stories,
Oh, okay.
the anthology one
Yeah.
that we watched. He did the one with the drive-in movie theater, with the movie that turns you mad.
Oh, I liked
Remember
that one.
He
Yeah.
did that one.
That was a good one.
And most recently, directed the penultimate episode of Yellow Jackets, which is the one where they all take the drugs and they string Travis up and they're about to eat him.
Yeah.
So they had different directors for the episode.
For all of them, yeah.
All
And
the episodes were different directors?
Almost all of them, I think. And
That's such a weird
So weird,
concept,
yeah.
but it worked so well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he did episode 9 of Yellow Jackets.
Wow.
Yeah, which again,
Wow.
Yellow Jackets, fucking fantastic. I can't say
wait.
enough about it. And then, I mean, it was just such a simple idea for this movie, which I feel like is translated onto the screen, right? But they basically, those two directors, conceived a fictional legend of the Blair Witch in 1993, so 6 years before this actually came out. And they developed a 35-page screenplay with a dialogue set to be completely improvised by the actors. That's a very small screenplay for any movie, let alone a movie that's an hour and 20 minutes like that, like this movie. This movie flies by. And then basically they did a casting call advertisement in Backstage Magazine. And basically Heather Donahue, Mike Williams, and Joshua Leonard were ultimately cast, and the film entered productions in October of 1997, with principal photography taking place in Maryland over just 8 days. About 2 hours. Oh my God, I can't talk. About 2 hours of footage was shot, and it was edited down to 82 minutes.
2 hours of footage. That's all they used.
That's it. And
Wow.
that's it.
See, that's
it.
what gives it that feel because they
And-
didn't overdo it.
So here's what's interesting too, is that all of the shots of this movie, everything, was actually shot by the three main actors.
Oh, yeah,
So
you
nothing
can
was
tell.
shot by the directors, and actually, so when all of them were in the woods, they had radio communication with the directors. They were in the woods by themselves, and all of the scares that you see are genuine because they did not know where the film crew were at any point during the making of this movie. They were actually in a tent in the middle of the woods.
That's my worst nightmare.
And they were actually staying in a tent in the middle of the woods. And like the scene where the tent starts shaking and essentially like something's attacking the outside of the tent, like that actually happened. That was a genuine reaction, and they did not know that was going to happen.
There's an idea for a horror movie.
Oh man,
Someone's looking to film a movie like this, and they hire you from this Backstage Magazine, and they go and then they actually murder you in the woods and make it as a movie, and no one ever knows what happened to
Oh
you.
my
Just,
yeah.
there we go. There's an idea. There's an idea. It's
Yeah.
always the noodling. Always
Yeah.
noodling.
Ugh, terrible.
It's probably already been done.
Yeah.
But
So essentially, like they were experiencing all of this stuff for real, to the point where like And again, this all goes back to the most ingenious part of this movie, I think, is that the way that it was marketed, where it was portrayed as an actual film, actual footage that had been found in the woods 1 year after the 3 characters went missing, right? And I think like that's something, Andrew, you said it earlier, that you really probably couldn't get away with nowadays.
No. But they're saying the whole time, like, Heather's saying, she's like, we live in the USA. Like, no one goes missing. Like, no one goes
false.
Like, this is ridiculous. People are going to find us. And I'm like...
That is false, but obviously there are supernatural reasons why they're not being found.
Exactly.
Same with most people. It's Yetis.
Correct.
Or
Yeah.
But that, I mean,
Sasquatch.
Alternate dimensions.
You can get lost in the woods so easy. Well, I mean, then the whole time I'm thinking
You're telling
to
me
myself,
that if you tried, you couldn't get lost in Miles Standish State
Exactly.
Forest? Like,
Have you ever gone in there and your
Absolutely.
GPS stopped working? I get lost driving in there.
Yeah.
I can't get out of here.
Well, and this is also before, like, cell phones. This is before any sorts of technology. Not that you'd have any
You have a
service
compass
out
and a
there,
map.
But you'd have a GPS tracker.
Heather did have a cell phone. It was a very early stages cell phone.
Probably
though,
didn't
like
work in
nothing
that.
else.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, and then they had a
And that battery,
compass
the
and a
battery
map.
for
Compass
that
and a
probably
map.
died real
Right.
fast.
Oh, yeah.
But I'm like, wouldn't they bring, like, a flare? Wouldn't you think that you'd bring some...
You'd think
What
so.
good does a
with
flare
you?
do if no one's looking for a flare in the middle of the woods?
True.
Someone's got to see it.
Yeah,
I mean,
and you
like,
go-
I saw a
True.
flare. Or
True.
bring a couple flares.
Most people would probably just go, oh. And just keep drinking their beer
Yeah.
down
Oh my
Hillbilly
God.
USA.
I'm leaving that alone. The Blair Witch is out there.
Oh, God. I mean, I
Told
was...
them dumb kids, stay out of them
Yeah,
woods.
yeah,
I would-
they were warned.
I don't
They
know.
were warned, that's
I mean,
for sure.
no, they were just stupid. I mean, they went in the middle of the woods with where a map that they thought they knew that they were going. They entrusted her.
They clearly haven't watched enough horror movies.
Right.
Because if anyone told me we're going to go do this, I'd go,
And I'm in charge of the
have
map.
fun, cat's in charge.
Yeah.
I'm going to stay home on
See
this
ya.
one.
So I also wonder, because you're very much led to believe that Heather is the ringleader here, right? And that she knows a little bit more about what's going on. Not with everything supernatural, but she knows more about the legend and what they're actually going to be doing more than Mike and Josh do.
Correct. Yes.
So you wonder like how much they actually knew when they signed up for this. Because
I don't think
it's
they knew
especially
anything.
shown that
I don't
Mike,
think she knew
Well,
anything.
yeah.
Mike especially, they like essentially pick him up and Heather meets him for the first time.
Right.
Like he's just hired on as like a sound guy, like a weekend job that he, whatever, he's going to do some sound and then drink some beers and smoke some cigarettes.
he doesn't
in
know
the
we're
woods,
going into the
you know?
woods and-
Like,
Well, and he
Yeah,
even
laws.
says, he's like, I signed up for, I thought this was going to be a trail. You're not staying on the trails.
Yeah,
Like,
and
they said the guided,
by
like,
the
tour.
way, Mike, upon revisiting this movie, might be my favorite character in the movie. By the way.
Oh my gosh. I
Oh,
wrote down
Heather's
a
the
note.
worst.
Oh, she sucks.
Heather
so
is
bad.
by far the worst.
Yeah.
But when Mike is like, I wrote this down. He's like, fucking bullshit. Don't tell me to relax. Don't fucking tell me. Like, he's just like going off. And I was like, oh, funny his name's Mike.
So,
There's another Mike that reminds
did
me.
they actually...
Another Mike
when they-
W
when
that's
they
like
did
me?
make the movie, there was no dialogue?
It was all improvised. All improvised.
See, I think that's perfect, too.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's just wrong.
Yeah,
It's wrong.
because you can't be using too big of words when you're doing something like this, because no one talks like that. It was all genuine conversation, and that comes through, and you can see
So
that.
I would think the only thing that even sounded scripted to me was Heather's monologue into the camera when she's like crying and you see half of her face, like it's on the poster.
Well,
but like
yeah.
even that, like again, like they wanted to do it so it felt authentic and
Right.
real, and I feel like they really achieved that.
Yeah, she felt like she was legitimately scared shitless.
Yeah. Yeah, but again, it just all goes back to the way this was planned and shot and everything. So
And you never
but-
see the witch.
yeah, and marketed.
You never see anybody die.
Or the
Right.
kids that
Right.
they talk
Nothing.
about.
And, by the way-
I want to know what their marketing campaign was, because this budget, $60,000, seems way too high.
Have that, by the way. So also all the sounds that they heard in the woods, either the director and film crew pumped all the sounds. They set up boom boxes randomly throughout the woods
Oh, okay.
so that the actors heard them in the woods.
And they didn't tell them they were
They
doing
didn't tell
this?
them they were doing
I love
this. Love it. But, it just in terms of more of the marketing, so I already mentioned the 1 hour documentary special that aired on the Sci-Fi Channel called Curse of the Blair Witch. There was also a website that debuted on the internet 1 year prior to the release of the movie in order to set up the premise of the documentary, complete with detailed reports of the search, the recovery of the footage within an old cabin, reactions from their families, expert opinions, the whole 9 yards. So set up very well. And the 3 actors were instructed to refrain from making public appearances. So you actually would have been led to think that these people were actually gone. So in addition to the, the directors kind of really scaring the actors, as I mentioned before, the three leads even believed that the Blair Witch was a real legend when the movie was being filmed, and which, again, in the 90s, if you didn't know that it wasn't real, you would never actually know.
If you don't know, now you know.
Of course, they knew the film was going to be fake, but only after the film's release did they actually discover that the entire mythology was made up by the film's creators.
Oh, God.
I think it's just awesome.
I would have been scared doing that.
Uh-huh.
Right,
Otis?
in the woods with a bunch of scary noises.
Yeah, terrifying.
So
Absolutely
even probably one of the funniest things too is that Heather Donahue's mother, after the movie was released, received dozens and dozens of sympathy cards from people who believe that her daughter was actually dead and or missing.
Oh my god.
So that was their real name?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yep,
That's,
those are their real names. Real names too. So interesting stuff.
that's too funny.
Yeah. So I guess probably the biggest question that I'm going to ask for these movies when we cover them this month. Do you guys feel that the found footage style adds or takes away from the quality of this movie? Like, would this be a better movie if it wasn't found footage?
No. It would just be another movie.
I agree.
It would be actually way worse.
Yeah.
Because this movie is the found footage. There is nothing
Yeah.
about this movie that is remotely scary, except for the fact that it's three people in the woods lost, and you think that they're actually lost in the woods.
Right.
With scary
Yeah,
witches.
like if this was professionally shot, this would be a worse movie.
Oh, yeah, it
No,
would
100%.
This would have been a fucking bust.
Like if this was a professionally shot movie with music, a soundtrack,
Oh, yeah.
more actors, like it would not
Well,
have had
that's-
the same effect.
That's why
Because
the second
nothing
one-
happens, really.
Right. No, honestly, that's why I say it does more with less than
nothing.
any horror movie I've ever seen.
Few
because
sounds
you
in the
don't
woods.
see anything.
Yeah.
You don't see anything.
That's what makes
you
it
hear
so
rocks
amazing.
clinking, but sorry for the clapping. Rocks, sticks breaking. You see some sticks hanging in the trees, and like you hear people screaming and children laughing. That's it. And then there's a house.
I'm beginning
That's
to
it.
wonder if the Blair Witch is actually the predator, because it's mocking Josh's voice.
I know, right? Oh,
Well,
man,
the second
we'll get
one
to
is
that.
like the complete opposite of this one.
Yeah,
Like,
which is why I had no
use-
interest in seeing it.
Exactly, which
Yeah.
is they even use like special effects to make some weird like child like moving backwards that you can like.
Yeah,
it's
I
just,
was
like, it
waiting
just
for
has-
something cheesy to pop up.
And it never did.
And I was like, I respect that.
Yeah.
I'm glad that didn't happen.
Yeah.
Because I would have been so annoyed. I was waiting because the only scene I really had seen was one where it's like right up on her face and she's snotting and tears are coming down.
Yeah.
And I'm like, she's going to pan to the left and then you're going to see this hoogie boogie.
Right. Yeah.
It didn't I was
Never
like,
happened.
oh, I went,
Yeah.
Well, they actually referenced Jaws as one of the directors. I mean, as one of their inspirations for this film, because even though you see the shark in Jaws, they had to withhold the shark for most of the movie because the shark was famously not working on set, so you don't see it very
well,
much
it's
of
a
it. until the
robotronic
end.
underwater in salt.
Right.
Right. So they're they kind of use that as inspiration. Like, we're not going to show anything at all. Like, we're just going to hold people in suspense because, again, and I subscribe to this theory wholeheartedly, what is in your mind is much scarier than what they could ever show you on screen.
Well, you know what's scary about Jaws is being trapped on a boat with Quinn the whole time in the middle of the ocean.
Yeah.
That's
A
scary
crazy
enough.
person.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, at the very end, all you see is, that house that just, well, the one thing that's kind of weird is that house just is, like, popped out of nowhere.
Well,
But-
again, supernatural forces.
Exactly.
Like,
Exactly.
how
And
did they
then-
not see it before?
Right, especially if they're going in circles, allegedly.
Yeah.
So, then she's going through the house and you see all the little fingerprints of the kids.
Because that's got to be the house where that guy was.
Right.
That old man was talking about.
Yes.
Right. What was his name? It'll come
I
to
forget.
me.
But even,
I'll-
like,
yeah.
when Mike goes in the basement and all you see is his camera just go to the ground.
Mm-hmm.
And that's it.
And then when she gets down there, he's standing up in the corner,
He's-
looking in the corner again.
Right.
The same way that the guy said that all the kids were looking in the corner, or he would be looking in the corner.
Rustin Parr, that was his name. The guy that killed all the kids and had them look in the corner. That was
Yeah.
his name.
Sounds
Rustin,
sounds like a sex move I performed once. on
not
someone.
Rustin, not Rustin Cole. Rustin Parr.
Arr.
I ended up with a bogey though, unfortunately.
There you go. Yeah,
Wasn't impressed.
it's shooting over Parr, indeed. Ho ho. ho.
Oh, man.
I also agree that this movie would, if it was not found footage, would not be the same movie.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
No.
And that's a question we'll revisit with each of these movies this month. I feel like I've already said this. I find this to be one of the scariest movies I've ever seen, and even still to this day, when I watch it in the right circumstances, like if I were to watch this movie Home Alone in the dark, this would still scare the
Cat, next time Mike's
bejesus
watching this movie,
out of me.
let me know, because I'm going to walk down the hill and just scare the fuck out of me.
Yeah, I know, right?
Maybe in the summertime when we have a
Go,
fire going.
I just go,
So I guess, did you guys find this movie to be scary? I mean, I know
Oh.
your answer.
horrifying.
Yeah,
If
right?
there's a more scary situation, it's that.
Yeah.
Well,
Which, like, if we went into the Freetown State Forest and said, we're going to do a documentary
pass.
and a podcast, I would shit my britches. Literally be so
Steamy
scared.
rave on.
Oh, which I still think we should do a...
I don't know.
Spooky
Well, let's,
I would love-
I would love to do a spooky adventure, but
right
if we
now.
do
We
it,
can
we
revisit
have
all
to
that.
bring Craig. Because I feel like...
Craig's a beacon for these things.
Yeah, because I could just take Craig and be like, Craig, it's over there, and then push him and run, and they'll
Oh my god.
bye!
Throwing your best friend under the bus.
Oh, 100%.
it.
If I was in that
Oh,
situation, I would have left all those motherfuckers.
Two parts stand out to me as being the scariest parts. One is when the shit is really hitting the fan and they're starting to turn on each other and they're starting to lose it, and they come onto that clearing that has all the stick figures hanging from the woods, and they shoot the whole thing like in black and white. That still freaks me out to this day. And then the other part, obviously, is when Josh disappears. And then it's just Heather and Mike left, and they're in the tent, and they can hear Josh screaming in pain
Yep.
in the distance.
And has no idea where it is.
Which,
Yeah.
again, the filmmakers did all through boom boxes. Boom boxes!
Yeah, that's
Talk about
awesome.
90s. Boom boxes scattered throughout the woods. Ingenious. Ingenious. Scarier than anything they could ever show is that. Perfect.
Yeah.
Just
The
a
unknown.
perfect thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, this movie scared the shit out of me when I was a kid. It still freaks me out to this day.
Yeah. Well, this is a combination.
What about you guys?
My two terrifying things is the dark and camping and the woods. So that's actually three things that I hate. So
You don't like camping?
no.
When have you ever gone camping? Aside from Girl Scouts.
That's when I went camping.
Okay, well now you're in your 30s, so you
I'm
probably
not
haven't
gonna
gone
I'm not gonna start camping
What if
now.
it's like at a campsite?
with other people around.
with like plumbing. If there's like indoor plumbing and like a kitchen
No,
So
sink,
glamping?
like a
Like a
stove.
campsite.
Yeah.
Like where there's other people camping.
Is there like a trailer?
Do you have a trailer?
No.
So it's a tent. So you're in a tent, and there's a community bathroom you can use.
With a not
What
like
is
a
that?
hole in
What does the
ground.
plumbing matter whether it's scary or not?
It's a whole for a woman. It's a different situation than a man. I mean, men just go pee wherever. It's not
You
the
can
same
go
as a
pee. You
lady.
get one of those extended dicks and you fucking plop it in and you
I
pee
don't think
outside.
So. No.
Extended dicks.
No. I don't know. It's never been appealing to me. But yeah,
so
and then the
good.
dark. So actually, it's funny. One thing when I was
I go weeks without showering. No, I don't go weeks without
Oh,
showering. I should
Jesus,
rephrase
that's
that.
scary.
I go like a couple days without showering, so camping's not that bad.
when I was living in Marshfield, one of my friends lived on a dirt road, and she drove a red Blazer, and one time she obviously knows my fears, and I was in the back seat, and I don't know why, but we were driving from one end of the road to the other, and it's just all woods, and there's one. It's like one half tree with like a rubber glove on it for some reason. I don't know why, and I've driven by it a billion times, but for some reason it was like she turned off her headlights and just kept going. It was like started to roll down my window and was like, "Oh my god, what's that?" And I was like, "Oh my god!" Like I just got so nervous. So yeah, a lot of people know my.
That's a great story.
A lot of people know my.
Probably my favorite
fear
Great
story.
little
of-
story. Yeah.
I just have a very serious fear. Like even in the backyard, in our backyard, I'm terrified.
Keep in
the
mind,
light
we
goes
live
off.
up the hill. There's a main road.
I know.
Yeah, so I still find it funny that, on all sides of us, we have actual civilization, that there's woods in between, and Kat will hear something and think that it's some gigantic monster or deer or moose or bear or something. There's no bears, no nothing.
There's
It's
beach
just...
bears.
There was a bear in Pembroke.
No, it's
wandering around.
it's
for a while.
rabbits and raccoons
I've seen deer.
and maybe a deer. I've seen a coyote one time.
That's scary.
what's
You
in our
said
driveway?
fisher cat. You saw a fisher cat. That's scary.
They are scared of you. What's a deer gonna do?
I don't know. They're pretty. I'd like
Oh,
to see them.
deer.
Yeah, but I don't know. Maybe there's someone walking around. I mean,
Well,
you don't know.
there could be someone walking around anywhere. There's actually people walking around all over.
True.
What are you even talking about? Yeah, someone could come down here and murder you right now.
I
and
know.
That's it. So what's
Absolutely terrifying. But I'd see him on my Nest Cam, and then I'd have another way out.
that
you
would
know?
be even scarier to see someone on your Nest Cam. I would be horrified. I'd be like, oh my god, there's someone. I'd rather not know and then die.
I don't know.
But maybe
It's
I'm
just an irrational fear of mine, I guess.
I guess so.
So I mentioned before that there are other roles that people in the cast have played. Specifically, I'm referring to Heather and Josh. So Heather has been in It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
Oh, as who?
She is, in season 1, she plays the quote-unquote mom of Charlie's child.
Oh.
That is Heather
Really?
from the Blair Witch Project.
Wow. I'm going to have to look that up.
You don't have to look it up. Mike just told you.
Well, no, I'm gonna, like, look her up.
We're going to watch it. We're going to watch it probably later on tonight.
Okay.
And then also, Joshua Leonard has been in a number of things, but the most prominent thing that I can think of, he is in season 1 of True Detective, in the best episode of that season, where Rust goes to that biker club, and he does he basically does the robbery and escape. That's the one-shot take. So Ginger, the leader of the biker gang, he's one of Ginger's crew that's with them and gets killed.
Interesting.
It's tough to recognize him, but
weird.
that's him. He's in it.
Huh.
So neither of them have really done much with their careers.
Those are probably their two most recognizable things afterwards.
10 seconds in an episode.
Yeah, right?
Not much. Good for them.
Yeah.
I feel like this is a movie where there might be some nitpicks, if anyone had any. Anything that you had?
So, I guess, but it's not really a nitpick because so they never, it's a found footage and they were playing off the whole idea that they found this footage and they are showing you it for the first time. So the fact that they use color camera and the black and white camera clearly shows that someone has done something with this footage.
Well, they had the two different cameras, though.
Yes, so that means that they're showing...
Well, you
that
can
means
see
that someone,
settings on a camera. For black
no,
and white
it's two
color.
different cameras. So that means that it wasn't just found, and then there you go. It was...
Or maybe they found both cameras.
Edited. No, they found both cameras, but they edited it together to make this. See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But they never said that. It wasn't like they just found a camera and here's everything on it. They found both cameras and then took the time to edit it into this movie.
That's quite the nitpick.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It's
Right.
not really even a nitpick. It was just something I noticed, but then they never... Then again, if you are going to release this as footage you have found, you're going to try to put it together in a way that makes some semblance of sense.
Yeah.
You're not going to just throw it out there.
My only nitpick, I would think, would be, if you're going to do this and you know that you're going into remote wilderness, which I guess essentially reinforces the fact how much Heather sucks, wouldn't you let, the Forest Service or, a park ranger know, hey...
Well,
here's the thing.
Here's
they
what
all,
we're
but
doing.
But
Right.
they said, my boyfriend
If
knows
we're
that
not
here's
back-
my girlfriend.
Yeah.
come look for us. Here's what's gonna. Here's where we're supposed to be.
Right.
Don't you think?
But don't you think that maybe people did come looking for them, but due to the circumstances?
Probably.
Because
Yeah.
if they were
Find
wandering around in circles and couldn't get out, perhaps they were in some secular
Yeah.
It could have
dimension
been in
that
the
was...
Bridgewater Triangle.
Yeah.
I mean, it seems that way. They were walking
Yeah.
around in circles.
See, I think that as well, but I think Heather could have at least taken the step to be look, here's a precaution. We're going to be out here, just so you know, if we don't come back for some bizarre reason.
Here's the thing, my problem with that. You have these people that are just going to make a documentary, these 3 kids. That would have felt scripted, I feel like, almost.
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe we should look.
Maybe.
Maybe we should have an idea. No, you're probably going to go into that thinking no one goes into something thinking they're going to get lost in the woods and never come out again.
Yeah, that's true.
And her ego, she wouldn't have ever done.
Well, I mean, don't you feel... So, let's say, for instance, if we were going to do something in the Freetown State Forest, don't you think we would do something like that,
But then
right?
also, too, you worry about the fact that maybe they're going to say, oh, yeah, you're not doing that.
Well, yeah, of course.
We're not letting you out there to
Why
go
would
do
they
this.
ever say that that's okay? But
Well, you're allowed to go into the woods if you want. I guess. It
at
depends
night,
on...
when it's closed, because they don't allow people in the woods at night.
What do you mean they don't allow people
Unless
in the woods
they're in a
at night?
campsite, but a
Yeah,
lot
so
of
maybe
places
they would
say
have been
close
told
at
no.
dusk.
Maybe perhaps they would have said, no, you're not allowed to go out there.
Right. Well, she also said they parked the car in the middle of nowhere. Because they were like, oh, well, let's get back to the car.
But
well,
there's
the car's in the middle
trails
of
there,
nowhere.
so what are the trails for?
Well, I said, one of my nitpicks was, they crossed the stream. Why didn't they follow the stream down to wherever the stream goes? It would show on a map.
Yeah, but I think they
One way
they
or
couldn't
the
get
other,
back
they're
to-
gonna
they
get
couldn't get back
somewhere.
to that stream.
No, but I mean, if
They
if-
went south for the entire day and they never went
Well, they
anywhere.
allegedly went south.
Well, no, I think they did. The compass was being messed with
But
by the
witch.
it's only magnetic north. So I mean, a compass isn't like real.
All right.
I mean, anyone knows that. If you have magnets somewhere, if you have some sort of
I
magnetic
think
force, you can't trust a compass.
We're reaching.
I'm just saying you can't trust a compass. When you get to that point, then you trust something that you know.
When that's all you have is the compass.
Then you follow an actual landmark or some sort of
But they
river
didn't have
or
the map
something.
anymore.
They don't need a map. If they see
There could be more than one stream.
But it doesn't matter because I mean all of them ultimately lead to a body of water or up to like a road or somewhere else. Like it's gonna lead somewhere.
You're forgetting the fact that the witch is
Manipulating
it's
the whole thing.
supernatural.
Right.
So the stream wouldn't. They could have done that. They could have said, "Here's a stream and follow it," and they would have ended up back. They would have been like, "Here's the script. Follow the stream. Guess where? You're gonna end up right back where you were."
And if that would almost be cooler because then you'd be like,
well, maybe
you'd
you
be
should
like,
direct
oh
this
well,
movie.
you know.
All right, so a couple more questions. Let's envision an experience where you sign up to go into the woods, and it's a Blair Witch themed haunted hiking thing.
Nope, not doing it. Nope.
Somebody could make so much money doing that. That's
I'm
your
not.
haunted attraction based on the Blair Witch Project. Because I
You
feel
know
like you
the-
couldn't. I don't think you could turn this into a traditional style haunted house.
Didn't they kind of do that at that shitty one we went to down in Seekonk?
But I don't think they did a good job with it though.
Do you know the liability that would go with
Yeah, there's
that?
roots and bugs.
Not if they
Monsters.
pre-mapped
Monsters.
everything out. If they made monsters.
No, you could do it really well. Like,
Camp overnight.
if someone actually took the time and wasn't just looking to make a quick dollar, then that would be terrifying. But it needs to be done right. Like, take your time, make it scary. Don't just worry about, like...
You'd have to have like a very small group to start with. You couldn't have like, it couldn't be necessarily like a haunted attraction. It could be like, I mean, I guess it could be, but in the same sense, like if you were to have a full experience of this movie, you'd need to stay overnight in a tent.
You don't need to do that.
Well, I mean,
you're walking through. You just said your three scariest things are the dark, the woods.
Right, that's
and
why
what was
I'm
the
like,
other thing?
pass.
Camping. Well, you're not camping, but so the dark and the woods and a scary witch isn't scary.
No.
You hear sounds out in the woods.
Sounds are terrifying.
Okay, so yes, you don't need to camp to make that scary. I think this would be horrifying.
Oh yeah, just a nighttime hike in the woods would be absolutely.
I think we should just do that.
Nighttime hiking.
Just hike through your backwoods.
You don't need it. I know. Yes, I know. See,
I know.
woods
I'd
are
probably
scary.
end up rolling an ankle
Oh my god.
or stepping
See,
in a big pile of dog shit.
That's why it's scary. Well, there is a weird thing way up there that I always ask Mike about, and he won't go
It's
up
trash
there.
from the
No.
apartments.
There's something up there. No, I've seen it.
You're insane.
I
What is
think-
up there? Like,
I
can you
don't know
explain?
because Mike won't let me go up there and see it. But
Why don't
it,
you
it
go
looks
up?
like a
You're
big
an adult during the day when he's not here. Why don't you walk up
By
there and see what it is?
myself?
In the day, nothing happens during
no.
the day.
I need to let someone know that.
Well, you can tell me, text me, be like, "Hey, I'm wandering up into the woods."
I'd be like, "You have to come with me."
Actually, wandering up into the quote unquote woods
Yeah.
behind my house.
But what if there's
If
an
I don't,
animal
if
and
I don't
get
text you in
attacked?
15 minutes, come here.
I mean, there's so
There's
many.
nothing up there that's going to attack you.
Oh my gosh, no, you don't even know. I mean, there could be so many things up there. I mean, you have no idea. I mean, there's
Like,
bears,
what's up
animals.
in the woods that's terrifying?
There's a big like hole thing up there that you won't let me go up there, and you just said it's okay, just leave it alone, whatever. And you can see it all the time. You can always see it. Next time you come over, I will
What is
show
up
it to you, and it is terrifying.
There's a fallen tree
No, it's not a fallen tree.
that has been hollowed out because it's so old and rotted, and there's a hole in it. And that's what she's talking
All
about.
That's where all
I'll-
the bunnies live.
I'll show you.
So there's a family of bunnies that live up there.
Oh my gosh. Well,
It's
whatever.
terrifying.
All right, so let's talk sequels to the Blair Witch Project. We
Didn't
already
we already talk sequels?
already mentioned the Blair Witch 2 Book of Shadows, which I've never seen. Kat, I know you've seen it, and you seem to like it. Why don't you talk to us about that sequel?
You like that?
and what
I already
happened?
did. I already said.
All you said was that you watched it backwards, and there's like shit that's backwards.
No, I said it's totally opposite from the Blair Witch Project, meaning that it's shot like instead of
An actual
it's-
movie as
it's
opposed
shot
to
like a
found
movie.
Watched
footage.
it backwards.
So there's this thing in
Like
the Book of
the-
Shadows, the Blair Witch Project
Like
2,
Pink
Book
Floyd
of
and
Shadows, and then it says like another like subtitle underneath it. It says Curse of Ezrever. And then you read on the back of the box, it says if you watch this in reverse on slow-mo, there's different little like Easter eggs.
How do you watch a movie in reverse on VH? I'm confused how you
You
watch
hit the
it.
rewind button and
Isn't it
you'll
going
see
fast?
No.
So rewind goes
so
slowly?
just
Yeah,
Okay.
you watch it backwards,
Interesting.
and then you'll see there's like.
I'm sorry. I
you'll
think I'm
see
pretty sure when
these-
you rewind a movie, it rewinds in like 5 minutes, not an hour
Well,
and
not
a half.
if you not if you put it in like Blockbuster like rewind machine.
Well, what did you have? The
on the
VHS?
TV? Yeah.
I don't know.
So you have it rewound. You rewind it, and you watch it backward. Like you watch it as it's
You
getting.
have this?
I did. I don't have a VHS anymore.
Kind of curious because I want to. Do you have a VHS player?
No,
My
we don't.
parents do.
Let's get it. I want to rewind a movie while you're and see how long it takes to rewind this said movie.
Okay, we can go to my parents' house.
Seems like you might have had a lot of time on your hands.
I did. Yeah, I was a
Anyway,
child and had
the
a lot of time.
the more universally well-known sequel is called Blair Witch, which was shot in and released in 2016 and directed by Adam Wingard, who is famous for your next parts of VHS, the VHS franchise. He also directed most recently Godzilla vs. Kong. Same guy. Blair Witch was actually shot under the working title of The Woods, and it was not revealed that it was a Blair Witch sequel until the trailer dropped at Comic-Con in 2016, which is a pretty cool idea. So they try to kind of replicate some of that shit.
I don't know. This is the type of movie that the last thing it needs is a sequel.
Well, I would say to you,
I'll watch it.
withhold your judgment. It's on Hulu. Watch it tonight when you go home. It's awesome. And when we saw it in theaters, I was scared shitless.
Well, I'm not going to do that, but I will watch it at some point.
Well, you're not going to see it in theaters, but if you watch
No,
it
I'm not
at
going to
home-
watch it tonight when I go home.
Okay, well, watch it at some point. Watch it at some
I'm
point.
going to watch Seinfeld. Let's be
yeah.
real.
In addition to the two movies, there's also been talks of a Blair Witch TV series being developed as recently as 2018. No news since then. There was also a survival horror video game released in 2019 that I have not played, and maybe this episode is the impetus for me to play it. But essentially, it takes place a year after the events of the first movie, and you are a cop with your police dog going through the woods trying to find the original 3 filmmakers. So maybe I'll check that out and report back. My question would be, do we need / want any more Blair Witch?
I don't think so. But they just had a new one that we just saw.
I'm saying in addition to all
Well, I
of
haven't
these
seen
things.
it. I don't
So
think they need
let's
one
say
to begin with.
let's say for the sake of argument that the only other Blair Witch thing in development right now is the aforementioned TV series.
That's more than enough.
That's more than enough.
I don't
Yeah,
think
I
you
don't
need
need
that.
any more.
I just watched this movie.
I just watched it.
Just watched this one. What are we going to wait another 20 years to watch this?
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
I don't. I see this type of movie. I feel like is a one-off, and
Lightning in a bottle.
Not
You're-
light- not
you're
even
not
lightning in
You're
a
not going to
bottle.
do it twice.
you're never going to do that twice, especially for all the reasons you mentioned and we've mentioned throughout, like the timing of everything, the 90s, no social media, the
Right.
marketing campaign, you can't pull that off again.
Right.
And yeah, you can come up with another good movie, but it's pales in comparison.
Right.
You're never going to pull this. No one is ever going to pull this off again. That stupid
Never.
The Fourth Kind movie, when they said there was all live footage with the stupid aliens, I bought that for about 12. I actually thought that stuff was, because they said that the footage of the aliens in that movie was real.
Oh, see, actually, I remember that movie. I actually kind of like that movie.
I liked that
Yeah,
movie.
It was
It
good.
was very disappointing that it
Yeah,
wasn't
the Fourth
real.
Kind. I do remember that, yeah. See, I feel like now we're at a point where the last few years, 80s nostalgia was a big thing. And I feel like we're now moving into a new era
90s
where
nostalgia.
90s nostalgia is a big thing.
Love it. I
with
love it.
the Scream
Yep.
reboot coming out and
Jackass.
I Jackass. That's another perfect example. Which, my God, we saw Jackass
that
Forever
90s?
last night. Yeah. Jackass was like late 90s, early 2000s.
Oh, I thought that was early. I thought it was like 2001.
Buried the lead here, by the way. Not a horror movie, but my God, Jackass Forever was one of
So
the funniest
good.
fucking movies I've ever seen.
If
in
you're
my
like
entire
Mike
life.
and you really like penis,
Yeah,
then you'll probably like this
I
movie.
I love my own penis. Thank you very much.
I just couldn't help myself.
So yeah,
That's
I kind of
good.
agree with you.
I liked
Like, I think it's going to be very tough to catch this type of lightning in a bottle again. So if they left this alone, I'd be fine with it. I'd be totally fine. But where it's a franchise, I don't think they will. I really don't.
Well, where the other ones have done so well.
I know, that's true.
Why would you?
Well,
That's the problem. Everything gets oversaturated.
Book of Shadows, Blair Witch 2 did not, but the 2016 sequel did very well. Very, very well. Jack talked Thai.
This may be part of the reason. Book of Shadows may be part of the reason that I continued on to not watch this movie because that probably I saw the previews for that and I heard stuff and I was probably
yeah.
This affirmations.
If I may for just a second. So like
affirms.
Okay.
Affirmations?
See, I'm a snob.
Moira.
I'm a snob. The movie is called Blair Witch 2: Book of Shadows. Immediately, you lose me with the title.
Well, you have that, and then underneath that, you have
if you have
Curse
a
of
number
Edge
in the title, I'm good.
Yeah.
Jurassic Park 2?
Think of something. It was Jurassic Park 2 was the Lost World Jurassic Park, not Jurassic Park 2. But
Jurassic Park. It wasn't Jurassic Park 2,
Well,
The Lost
I would
World?
say don't knock it
it was
until
Jurassic
you
Park.
see it.
It was the Lost World: Jurassic Park, and then Jurassic Park
really think about
3
this.
was called Jurassic Park 3.
John Wick 2? Was that John Wick? Was it called John Wick 2? Now my mind.
I'm not saying I'm not
three,
saying
and
that every sequel that has a number in the title is bad. I'm saying it's a lazy way to title a sequel, and you can think of a better way to do it.
Yeah. Well, isn't Halloween 2?
Yep, and that movie stinks.
Halloween 3?
Season of the Witch.
But
It
it's
should
still-
have just been called Halloween Season of the
but they're
Witch.
still called Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I'm not saying these movies are good, but to Alien 2?
Aliens.
Oh, Aliens! Alien! No, I'm just kidding. Anyway.
Yeah, just one of my pet peeves. I think people that are writing these movies, you're creative enough to write a new movie.
Come up with a better
You're creative enough to come up with another title better than Predator 2.
But maybe they're thinking...
Or Get Out 2.
They want to use...
Or Halloween 2.
that to their advantage.
Or, fucking whatever.
Phantasm
2. Jaws 2. Anyway, whatever. Guys, any final thoughts on the Blair Witch Project before we wrap it up?
We'll always wrap it up. Also, no, I mean, it's a great movie.
Yeah, it's a classic movie. I love it.
I'm glad I watched it.
I'm happy that we had it for
I'm
a
fucking
hashtag.
glad you watched it too.
Yeah,
I
I
can't
know,
believe
right?
that you hadn't.
I would have gone on the rest.
Unbelievable.
That's why I said we should do Blair Witch as the first one. 'cause I was like, I
Yeah,
haven't seen
good
it.
I
marketing.
thought for
Andrew,
sure
good
that you were a fan
marketing.
of this movie. I didn't realize that you would never
Oh, I've
seen
said,
it.
we've talked about this movie
I
multiple
think you
times, and I
have
never
you never
Maybe
said
I just never remembered.
seen it, but I never said I hadn't seen
Maybe
it.
I
either.
just never remembered.
No, I never said I didn't see. I've never said I haven't seen this movie. I just pretended like I did, in hopes that I'd get through the rest of my life with people never knowing.
Catherine Walsh, as your maiden name being Blair, any final thoughts on the Blair Witch Project, the Blair Walsh Project?
I've always loved this movie. I'm glad that it was our wedding hashtag. It was very fitting. And
Very fitting.
Yeah, everyone really seemed to love that. They were like, "Oh yeah, that's a perfect hashtag." It's one of those corny things that everyone gets now when they're married. They're like, "Oh, what's your hashtag?" And then they saw ours was like, "Oh, the Blair Walsh Project." And they're like, "Oh, that's that's
Interesting.
actually
Yeah.
pretty
Pretty
good,
good.
pretty good."
Hey guys, I'll tell you what, if you enjoyed this coverage of the Blair Witch Project, stay tuned for much more found footage horror movies for the rest of the month, in addition to coverage of Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Not the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, but rather Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the new sequel, throughout the rest of the month. But here's where you can find more of us online, if you're so inclined. First place would be our website, which is ahpod.com. It's ahhpod.com. We're on YouTube and Facebook as well. Just search for America's Hometown Horror, and you will find us. We're also on Twitter, @Hometown Horror, and you can find us on Instagram, which is where we are the most active. By we, I mean me. We're at Hometown Horror Pod, and you can also drop us a line at hometownhorrorpodcast@gmail.com. And you can listen to our show wherever you get your podcasts, in whatever your favorite app may be. We are there.
Whoop whoop. Great.
You'll find us.
Great.
Well, guys, I think that's about all I have to say about the Blair Witch Project. My name is Mike. I have been the host of this episode, and I will continue to be the host of the next episode. I've been joined by my esteemed co-hosts, Catherine and Andrew. You guys say goodbye to your audience.
Adios, muchachos.
Bye.
I'd like to apologize to Josh's mom. And Mike's mom. And all the other moms. This is my project.
Goodbye.
Bye. Good evening. Hey everyone, it's Mike from America's Hometown Horror, and just wanted to say thank you again for listening to another episode of our show, because of course, we would be nothing without you listeners. If you are interested in more local Plymouth podcasts, I would highly recommend you check out some shows by our cohorts on the Inebriart Podcast Network. That's right, the Inebriart Podcast Network, folks. In addition to America's Hometown Horror, you can find the Inebriart Podcast, Bar Talk, Theme Park Legends, Retro Redoctopus, and Old Colony Cast. Head on over and give them a listen.